As the world is preoccupied with the coronavirus crisis, the Israeli regime is accused of escalating its aggression against the Palestinians. The United Nations, rights groups and others have documented a spike in crimes and violations that Tel Aviv has carried out. The list is quite long and it's quite disturbing. Welcome to Palestine Files. I'm your host, Wissam Bahrani, and on this episode we're going to focus on how the regime is exploiting a crisis to drive out Palestinians from whatever territory they have left. The Arab League has accused Israel of exploiting the world's preoccupation with the coronavirus pandemic by rapidly increasing its aggression against the Palestinians. In a statement, it has accused Tel Aviv of killing, arresting and displacing civilians, annexing new settlements and attacking Palestinian holy sites. The statement condemned what it described as Israel's racist and terrorist practices against the Palestinian people and its systematic violation against human rights. Calling on Israel to immediately comply with the United Nations Security Council's decisions, halt its aggression practices and the release of all Palestinian prisoners. The Palestinian envoy to the League said that despite the global concern about confronting the coronavirus, Israel did not care about the threat of the virus spread among the Palestinian people, leaving more than 5,000 Palestinian prisoners held together in its prisons.
طبعا شعور كل أب إنه يحضن ابنه بعد خروجه من المعتقل وابني لسه صغير يعني ما قضى سنة كاملة بعيد عنا ما شفناش من 6 شهور.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has urged Israel to release Palestinian tax revenues to help Palestinians combat the disease. Human rights organizations say Israel bears the safety of the 5 million Palestinians under its control. Human rights groups also say Israel is continuing its violations in the occupied territories without any consideration for the dangerous situation experienced by citizens in the occupied Palestinian territories and the spread of the epidemic. Amid the coronavirus outbreak, the regime continues to violate the Palestinians' right to health. As an occupying power, Israel has a legal obligation under international law to guarantee this right for Palestinians. Instead, the regime has increased its aggression while continuing its blockade of Palestinian territories and restricting imports of vital medical supplies. Social media users have noticed Israel taking advantage of the situation while the world is focused on the coronavirus pandemic. For example, Ruwan Ahmed says while the world today is suffering from the coronavirus, Gaza is crying from the blockade and resistance to this virus. May Allah protect us. May God protect us. Ruwan there apparently from the besieged Gaza Strip. Adam says it's a plan to let the people in Gaza die, or dead as she puts it. Adam there, perhaps also from the besieged Gaza Strip. Ruwan Ahmed says despite the coronavirus and what the world is experiencing now, Israel does not stop its crimes. Hashtag Free Palestine. Another valid point there from Ruwan. And Friends of Palestine, they've been in touch. The settlers attacked Islamic cemeteries in the village. The Israeli settlers and settlements are a nightmare for Palestinians because of their daily attacks. Indeed they are. Israeli settlers, indeed, a very big nightmare. Keep up the good work, Friends of Palestine. Hiba says Israel is trying to use coronavirus as an arm against the Palestinians. Indeed they are, Hiba, indeed they are. And Sarah Ada Ahmed, 99, says Israel must stop its criminal acts against the Palestinian people. Israeli crimes, she's put there. Indeed, they must, Sarah, indeed they must. And finally, one more here from Kanpachi Zaraki, who says, inshallah, God willing, soon their end shall begin. Love from Pakistan. Lots of social media posts, by the way. Apologies, we couldn't read them all out. Okay, time to give a voice to the Palestinians themselves and get some reaction from those living under military occupation in the West Bank.
هي استغلت هذه الجائحة، استغلت العزل، دخلت إلى بعض المناطق، وأيضا حاولت إسرائيل بشكل عام تمرير بعض بنود صفقة القرن خلال هذه الجائحة، مستغل وضع العالم وانشغالاته بمكافحة هذا الوباء العالمي. هناك توسع استيطاني لم يتوقف، هناك عمليات اعتقال أيضا لم تتوقف. إسرائيل متمادية أيضا في عدوانها وطغيانها ضد الشعب الفلسطيني.
في ظل أزمة كورونا وانتشار الفيروس في كل أنحاء العالم، لم تتوقف حكومة الاحتلال عن قدم مزيد من الأراضي الفلسطينية من خلال إعلان بسط السيطرة ومصادرة أراضي في محيط الحرم الإبراهيمي في مدينة الخليل، وإعلان الحكومة الجديدة عقب تشكيلها عن تطبيق القانون الإسرائيلي على أراضي الضفة الغربية واستمرارها في قتل الشعب الفلسطيني وتنفيذ عمليات الاعتقال بشكل يومي. الهدف واضح، هو إجبار الشعب الفلسطيني على ترك أرضهم وإيقاع أكبر قدر من الخسائر في صفوفه.
الاحتلال الإسرائيلي في زمن كورونا وفي غير زمن كورونا يستغل كل الأجواء لفرض السيادة وفرض السيطرة على الأراضي الفلسطينية. اقتحامات جنود الاحتلال لم تتوقف حتى في ظل هذه الجائحة وفي ظل مرض الكورونا. نعم، هناك اقتحامات غير ضرورية تجري في الضفة الغربية في مدن وقرى ومخيمات الضفة الغربية، يتعمد الجنود بها ملامسة كل شيء في الأراضي الفلسطينية، وذلك يساعد في انتشار المرض في الأراضي الفلسطينية.
طبعا من مصلحتهم أن ينقلوا العدوى إلنا، والمطلوب من شعبنا أن يكون عنده ثقافة وعنده انتماء للوطن مش لأشخاص، تكون مصلحة الوطن أهم من مصالح الشخصية الضيقة.
من خلال متابعتنا للأحداث اللي بتصير، احنا شايفين انه المحتل الاسرائيلي عماله بحاول قدر الامكان يقتضم الاراضي، يستغل منع التجوال ويستغل الجائحة بانه يحاول يسيطر على الاراضي، بيحاول انه يكثف سياسته الاحتلالية باغتصاب الحق الفلسطيني.
So, according to the Palestinian Authority in the occupied West Bank, what is Israel doing? Israel is exploiting the coronavirus pandemic. Its occupation forces are arresting and killing civilians. Home demolitions are increasing and ongoing, including the displacement of Palestinians. On top of that, Israel is also arresting Palestinian officials, making it harder for them to do their job. Now, the spike in Israel's aggression has not missed international media outlets who have reported on the issue extensively. Khalid Hijazi is a Palestinian activist and he joins us now. Mr. Hijazi, welcome. Many are asking, is Israel exploiting the coronavirus pandemic in the occupied Palestinian territories?
For sure. Israel always tries to take advantage of any calamities, whether natural or concocted, in order to advance its settler colonialist project in Palestine, which is to usurp most of the land and to replace or get rid of the native Palestinians. For instance, during the second Intifada, Israel managed to build the wall of separations. In the same manner now, while the world's attention is focused on the coronavirus, Israel might see it as an opportunity for it to advance its agenda and annex the rest or the majority of the land in the West Bank.
Okay, I want to ask you, can Israel sustain its occupation at the same time as trying to end the epidemic that's going on in Israel?
Well, to answer your question, maybe I would answer it fictitiously. As a Palestinian refugee, I had a dream, the other day that this coronavirus will intensify to a point where all the Israelis will be forced under lockdown in their homes. So Palestinians who have been besieged in their camps in Lebanon and Syria and Jordan will rise up and walk to the border. And when they arrive there, they see no army, so they make a run and go back to their homes and villages that were driven out in Palestine in 1948. So of course, this is a far-fetched dream from a Palestinian refugee. In reality, for us Palestinians, we wish no harm on any people, regardless of their religious, political, or ideological affiliations. But at the same time, we hope that this coronavirus that has been afflicting people indiscriminately all over the world will humble this Zionist entity of Israel and will make it, or will force it, to see the human side of the people, the Palestinians, who it has been enslaving, torturing, and capturing for the past 72 years. And hopefully at that point, it will, hopefully, I say as a Palestinian, it will abandon some of its Zionist and colonialist practices.
Okay, Khalid Hijazi, thanks for that, and keep the dream of returning to the homeland alive. Dear viewers, we're going to take a short break and be right back with the rest of the show. As countries across the globe deal with a crisis that observers say has not been seen since the Second World War, Israel has announced a very controversial plan. The regime says it will annex large chunks of the occupied West Bank as part of US President Donald Trump's so-called deal of the century.
Applause. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Washington says it is prepared to recognize Tel Aviv's annexation. The Palestinian Authority says the White House approval is an extension of the unqualified US bias to the Israeli occupation and its expansionist colonial policies at the expense of the territory of the State of Palestine. Israel's declaration has also been met with international outcry. The United Nations Special Envoy to the Middle East, Nikolai Mladinov, has warned it would be a devastating blow to any peace process and violate international law. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, says the bloc does not recognize Israeli rule over Palestinian land. The Arab League, which has been vocal recently in its condemnation of Israel, says the move would constitute a new war crime against the Palestinians. Iran has also strongly condemned Israeli actions, saying the Zionist regime's recent moves to expand settlements and annex parts of the West Bank to the 1948 occupied territories are in breach of international law. Many other countries around the world have also denounced Israel's plans. Palestinians want the West Bank as part of a future independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem al-Quds as its capital. As Israel stands accused of taking advantage of a pandemic, the Hamas resistance movement has vowed to fight Israel's plans with full force. Randy Nord is an activist and political analyst, and she joins us now. Ms. Nord, welcome. Now, some thought Israel might bring the severity of its occupation down a notch, yet it has only intensified it. What impression were you under?
Yeah, I don't think it should come as a surprise to anyone that the Israelis would exploit the coronavirus pandemic to tighten their grip over the West Bank. I'm sure the Israelis see the pandemic as sort of a gift because it serves as a convenient biological weapon to ethnically cleanse the Palestinians. Instead of launching airstrikes or outright attacks, military attacks towards Palestinians on the ground, the Israelis can simply tighten their blockade, restrict medical aid, shut down testing sites, and let the virus run its course. The Israelis conveniently avoid, any bad press also because they're just going about their business as usual without any kind of overt military action like airstrikes. So despite the blockade too, we see the Palestinians have manufactured their own masks, ventilators, and medical equipment. They've set up improvised testing centers, and what have the Israelis done? They've raided and shut down the testing centers. They've continued their arrests, and they've refused to release prisoners. Even the United States, with the largest prison population per capita in the entire world, released 16,000 prisoners, which is a drop in the bucket compared to how many are in prisons and jails throughout the U.S. But still, I haven't heard of the Israelis releasing any Palestinian prisoners. And we haven't seen any international pressure for them to do so or to lift their blockade and allow medical aid in. Plus, the rest of the world is entirely consumed by the coronavirus pandemic in their local communities. So the eyes have really been taken off the Israelis and their occupation for the extent of this pandemic.
What more can this type of attitude tell us about the uncertainty of, Israel's behavior to the Palestinians?
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would think that the Israelis would suddenly cut the Palestinians some slack during a pandemic. As the saying goes, you never let a good tragedy go to waste, and I'm sure that's the attitude the Israelis are sticking to during the pandemic because they can weaponize it. It's way too convenient for them to weaponize the pandemic to further their goals of ethnic cleansing. We've already seen this story played out in Yemen. It's just like we see the Saudis weaponizing cholera and famine in Yemen to further their own genocide. So what do the Saudis do in these situations? They maintain their blockade during the epidemics and refuse to let medical aid enter the country. The Israelis have only tightened their grip on Palestinians over the past 72 years, and even more so since 2007. So why in the midst of a pandemic would they suddenly start caring about the people they're trying to ethnically cleanse? That wouldn't even make any sense. The Israelis would love, I'm sure, to just shut the border and let the virus run its course, killing off as many Palestinians as possible. Because if Palestinians are sick and fighting a pandemic with no international assistance, that just makes it that much easier for the Israelis to advance their own occupation and annexation of the West Bank, which we see happening right now.
Okay, Randy Nord, activist and political analyst. Thank you very much for joining Palestine Files. So, Omar Rahal is the director at the Human Rights and Democracy Media Center for Palestinians. Our team sat down with him to get his perspective.
هناك عشرات الاعتداءات التي يقوم بها المستوطنين ضد شعبنا، إما بالضرب أو بالاعتداء على الممتلكات وعلى عقارات الفلسطينيين وإيقاع الخسائر بالفلسطينيين من خلال الجرح وإطلاق النار عليهم وتخريب ممتلكاتهم وتكسير وتحطيم السيارات. في المقابل جيش الاحتلال ليليا يستبيح الأراضي الفلسطينية المحتلة، يعتقل الأطفال والنساء والكبار، وفي المقابل يقوم جنوده بطريقة لا أخلاقية وبطريقة لا إنسانية وبطريقة عنصرية استعلائية. وهذا ما ثبتته يعني كاميرات الصحفيين الفلسطينيين أنا آسف للتعبير في البصق وفي القيام بأعمال عدوانية من أجل نقل هذا الفيروس المستجد إلى الفلسطينيين. وهذا أيضا ما قام به المستوطنين، بناء المستوطنات، مصادرة الأراضي، شق الطرق الالتفافية. اليوم مجاري المستوطنات يقومون بنضح هذه المياه العادمة إلى أراضي الفلسطينيين، إلى الأراضي الزراعية. وبالتالي إسرائيل تستغل مثل هذه الظروف من أجل أن توقع المزيد. هناك سياسة إسرائيلية ممنهجة بزيادة وتيرة العدوان على شعبنا، سيما وأن نتنياهو وغيره من الأحزاب اليمينية المتطرفة يتعاملون مع الشعب الفلسطيني ومع الأراضي الفلسطينية المحتلة كورقة انتخابية وكورقة من أجل زيادة عدوانهم على شعبنا. وبالتالي كلما كان هناك خسائر، كلما كان هناك اعتداءات، في المقابل حسب وجهة نظر هذه الأحزاب اليمينية المتطرفة كلما كان هناك زيادة في نسبة تأييدها نسبة القبول المجتمعي بالنسبة لها أمام الإسرائيليين. فيروس كورونا ينتشر عند الإسرائيليين أكثر من أي مكان آخر، وبرأيي المتواضع أن إسرائيل اليوم منكوبة، وأن إسرائيل اليوم موبوءة لأنها لم تقم بما يجب أن تقوم به. هي الآن تصدر للفلسطينيين هذا الفيروس من خلال فتح معابر للعمال بين هلالين في جدار الفصل العنصري. وبالمناسبة هي تقول للفلسطينيين من الذين لا يحملون التصاريح تعالوا واشتغلوا لدينا وعودوا حاملين للفيروس من أجل نشره بين الفلسطينيين. لذلك هذه سياسة إسرائيلية ممنهجة، وهذا استثمار واستغلال لهذه الجائحة التي يعاني منها العالم.
Many thought that during these unprecedented times, when Israel itself is grappling with the coronavirus pandemic, the regime would perhaps put a brake on its hostile acts against the Palestinians. There genuinely was that, not expectation, but there was a hope. But unfortunately, that doesn't appear to be the case. Even during the coronavirus crisis, Palestinians are suffering from the virus and from Israel's long-term goal to drive them all completely into the sea, which many would say is all the more reason for the world to wake up. Thank you for watching this episode of Palestine Files, and see you next week.